Here, give me the gap.
Thanks. Mr. Abbott?
How can you, it's 4:05. We changed.
Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that it? So what?
Johanna, call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I'm here.
We have before us for approval the minutes of our October 6th meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We will now open for public comment, 3 minutes on any subject you care to comment on.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, might I remind you of the famous Prisco study for the Ross School, which stipulated that it can hold at least 300 students. 300 students. It presently is holding a mere fraction of that. And because of that situation, you have a situation in which the school district is failing in all 7 indicators of efficiency. Mayor, it's time for you and your school board and your hand-picked cronies to start being efficient. And one of those ways would be to consolidate the Thai school into the Ross school. You have 300 on the first 2 floors capacity. You simply repurpose the 3rd floor, put the recreation department right here, and you don't need a superintendent with just 1 school. In fact, you don't even need 2 principals. A principal/administrator will more than suffice. So actually, Ross has a capacity of at least 400 or more students. And I think it's time that the taxpayers stop being gouged $28,000 per student per year. It only costs $11,000 to go to Rutgers, and even maybe a shade less to Commissioner Blumberg's alma mater. Yes. So I strongly urge that we begin this consolidation process right here and now. Take the bull by the horns. Stop all this procrastination. Real estate studies? Do you really think you need a real estate study to tell you that there's no affordable housing and that every bungalow and rancher is a teardown and no young family can afford to buy in? In fact, Mr. Minnie's not here, but I believe he's been reporting some $33 million in a yearly increase in ratables. Yearly increase. And yet, year after year, you're getting these ratables on the books, and the taxpayers aren't seeing a $1 mil reduction. Not one silly mil. And meanwhile, your compatriots over in Brigantine are affording reduction in taxes. I have a feeling that there's $13 million of fat in this school budget. And it's time to start cutting it with a vengeance. And I urge that you start doing it now, Mayor, and appoint fiscally responsible and prudent board members, not the hilarious that you've been appointing year after year.
Just going outside to cool off. Any other public comment?
Art Cotilli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. I had the pleasure to be at the school board meeting last night, and sure enough, they were talking about paid tuition students from out of district, and it started really getting to me. So I said, look, if you have the room to put these tuition students in your classes, well then, you're basically saying you have the room. And if you have the room, why don't you use the students you already have from Margate? Isn't this the Margate School District? Why are we going to look to Ventnor or Atlantic City or EHT to get tuition students? And what happens if some tuition student is not what you really wanted? You're going to have a lot of difficulty turning this person down. So you're going to open up a hornet's nest at saying you're okay and you're not. That's not a good situation to be in, I don't think. But if you look at the 7 items that John was talking about that were unfavorable, the worst one of all is building maintenance. Hello, 2 buildings, more maintenance. You have a building there that if you move the kids into classes, I know it'll say you'll increase the class size, but you're going to increase them from 10 to what? If you listen to Sess, the school board president that was there, he said he was willing to accept 21 or 22 kids per class. There was no problem. If it got greater than that, he would break them up. Well, if you look at the 9 grades that we have, 8 out of those 9 would fit that criteria with 2 classrooms. I think that would be a tremendous saving. And you can probably close the school with no problem. And as far as the study goes, take a look at the handouts they give monthly. You can see that you started off in 2009 with 609 students in the school district. We're now 356. That's over a 40% decrease. And if you look at it, it's even pretty darn straight down. There's a heck of a slope there. So what's going to change this slope to bring more kids in? I think we're the Margate School District, and I think we better take care of our Margate families as well as the children. Give the families a break here. We no longer need 3 buildings or even 2 buildings. We'll save a principal, we'll save a nurse full-time, and we may even save the principal. We'll certainly save crossing guards. So I think there's so much saving to be done, as well as building maintenance, and we won't be singled out by the county anymore for having $600,000 a year above the median. So we're already spending the median, and now we're $600,000 above. We're in with the big guys in the state. I think we shouldn't be there. We're only going to Margate. Take care of our Margate people.
Thank you, Art. Any other comment?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I also want to discuss the school situation. I did some math, but it seems like $28,000 per pupil is what we're paying now. The budget is $12 million. Then you have $2.2 million for the high school. This is my figuring. And then $650,000 from Longport, so it comes out about roughly $9 million that the taxpayers have to come up with in Margate, which comes out to $28,000 per pupil. Now, on top of that, nobody talks about this, but there's a $1.5 million debt on the municipal budget. That's the debt for the schools that's being paid out of the municipal budget, which is another, which Longport is not paying. I brought this up before. Okay, so that's 325 pupils. That figures out to $4,600 per kid for the debt, which is not on the school board debt. So actually, we're paying $32,600 per kid. Okay, that's one thing. Now, number 2, how many families actually are in this school in Margate? I mean, there's 5,000 houses in Margate. We have maybe 150 families that have a kid in the school, because most families have 2 kids. I had 3 kids in the school. So you've got $12 million for 150 families. It's really a lot of money out of 5,000 houses. Okay? And that's not to say that there shouldn't be a thorough and efficient education for these kids. I don't want these kids to have any less education than I had, okay, or than my kids had. However, it's too much money, and it's time to rein it in, okay? It's just going on for too long. And Margate is not an employment service for teachers that they have, it's unfortunate, but there's too many teachers, and some of them are going to have to go, okay? We need one school, and incidentally, John, it's not Ross School. We got to keep the Thai school, okay? And it's a shame what happened at Ross, but that's the way it is. Okay? And it's time to plan to close Ross School, to move everybody into Thai school, and I really think that it wouldn't be not that difficult. Two teachers per classroom, per class, and I think we could save up to $2 million a year out of this. It really is egregious what we're spending to educate these kids, and it's time to address it. And some of these people on the school board, they live in a fantasy land, okay? It's nice to live in a cocoon like Margate and not have to deal with the real world, but this is a real world, okay? I mean, I live in a real world, and, building a new school or this and that, this is just lunacy. So it's time to, get real, and let's do what has to be done, and keep the school, one school in Margate, for Margate kids, that's it. This, tuition is ludicrous, okay? Unless they want to pay $32,600 per kid. If they want to do that, then come on in. But $5,000 or something per kid, forget it. That's ridiculous. I'm completely against that. So you want to come here and spend $32,600, which is what it's costing us, then come on in. Other than that, forget it. Thank you.
We got it.
Just kidding. He's come in.
What?
Walk ahead.
Anybody else?
Is there any other public comment? Okay, good. You just, come on. We're in a part of public comment where you have 3 minutes, you can discuss anything you want to discuss.
Thank you.
Hey, John.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak. Do you mind if I approach you and give you a
Please,
handout?
please do.
How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, we need your name and address, too.
It's on there.
Okay, but you have to, when you go back to the microphone, your name and address for the record.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. My name is John DePersonaire. I'm at 1 Exeter Court in Margate. I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about an idea that's been floating around our neighborhoods ever since Sandy and kind of Superstorm, I guess you want to call it, Jonas, reminded us of this idea. But what I'd like to offer as an idea is to consider installing a tidal gate at the confluence of Minnie Creek where it empties into Bayshore Lagoon. There's an existing 48-inch conduit that passes under Bayshore Drive there. I'm a layman, I'm not an engineer, but to me it seems like a relatively simple project. The concept would be that if we had a forecast for a high tide event, something like Sandy, something like the storm we had in January, we could manually close that gate at the lowest tide, say 24 hours ahead of time. That would prevent any incoming tide during that high tide event. So, just personally living right next to Minnie Creek, and observing Sandy and both Jonas, it seemed that the tide comes in, but once it comes in, it's not able to exit quickly enough for that next subsequent high tide to pile on top of it. Just looking at the area, I didn't use GIS or anything like that, but there's roughly 88 properties that are within 200 feet of that Minnie Creek boundary. The assessed value was something like $40 million. So you're talking about a lot of properties there. We were impacted. I know a lot of our neighbors were impacted. Just looking at the long-term, sea level rise is happening. If you look 40, 50, 60 years out ahead of what's going to happen, if you look at the bay side, from the Margate Bridge all the way down to Fredericksburg is completely bulkheaded. The only area for the bay to come through in that area is through that conduit into Minnie Creek. So at some point, 50 years down the line, we're going to have to figure out what to do with Mini Creek. Either, since the city owns most of those lots on that boundary, I don't know if the city is going to want to have to bulkhead it or close it off. So for the time being, it seems like a tidal gate is probably a more rational option at this point. So I would respectfully request the commissioners and the mayor to consider authorizing and charging the city engineer to do a feasibility study on the implications of doing a tidal gate for Mini Creek. Thank you. If you have any other questions, you can either reach me by email or...
John, we'll do that. We'll pass this on to the engineer. There's obviously regulations that we have to make sure that we comply with, and somebody will get back to you.
Okay.
Okay?
And if you need any help with the permitting, I spoke to DEP already about the permits required, and it doesn't seem like a real heavy lift. It's not a crazy suite of permits you're going to have to apply for, but I can help if you need help.
Okay.
John, the only thing I wanted to do is comment. I imagine you prepared this.
I just whipped it up like an hour
Wait,
ago.
that's your fish and game experience working. That's an awesome report you just made. No, I'm sincere when I say that.
Okay.
So, and what the mayor said, our engineer would have a more definitive answers.
Of course.
Because I do recall at one point, this was also brought to the commission, and there was an issue because it's tidal water. It's regulated by the DEP, which you work for, right?
Right. I don't work for DEP, no.
But, well, Fish and Game, right?
I don't, no. I work for I do government affairs. I work for a nonprofit.
I thought you were with the DEP.
I've left.
You left?
So-
Okay, so I didn't know that, so you had a change in venue. All right, good. But as far as the report goes, it's detailed, and our city engineer will look at it, but I'm pretty sure he has answers for you.
I'm sure he will, yeah.
And you have a phone number here, so he'll be able
You have a phone number and email, whatever you guys want to
Great.
reach me by.
We'll get back to you.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
for your
deal.
time.
Any other public comment?
I move to close public.
Fred Verna,
We already said the
7811
Pledge of Allegiance.
Burke Avenue. I'm not here as a employee of the city right now. But to dovetail on what John just said, this conversation about the floodgate on Mini Creek has been going on for a while. As you know, our Burke Avenue, 7800, backs up to Mini Creek. There's 8 houses on the street, and we went through 17 dumpsters full of everything after Sandy. The water did come in from the creek, and like John said, there are a bunch of houses around it. We tried to, because we did speak, we tried not to bring in 20 and 30 people to discuss this, but I didn't see John's report, but I'm sure it's pretty good. And if there's something that could be done, a manual floodgate on it would probably be helpful in that time of the double high tide or whatever it is. So I'm standing behind what John said, and hopefully we'll get something looked at.
Hey, Fred,
Yeah.
because I'm a dummy?
Yes. I mean, yes.
Yes, no, you can agree with that. How does, so the water from the bay comes through this 48-inch pipe and fills Mini Creek?
Right at Lagoon Avenue.
And so
Right.
at high tide, water flows from the bay through this pipe and fills Mini Creek? Yep.
Yes.
And then at low tide, the water
Goes back.
out. And that's how Mini Creek came to be, because of this pipe?
No,
What's the purpose of the pipe?
Mini Creek actually is the drainage area for the streets. When we get rain, everything drains from those streets that are surrounding it into Mini Creek.
And so at some point in time, the city said, in order to get rid of, tell me, Joe, go
I
ahead,
don't know
Joe,
what they
because I'm a
did
dummy.
originally.
John's gonna...
In the 50s, There was no Lagoon Drive, no Bayshore Drive. It was all woods. It was just wild area. Minnie Creek was there. When Parkwood or Park Shore, whoever the developer at the time was, put the improvements in, the street improvements in, they put a culvert underneath because it's tidal. Minnie Creek was always a part of the bay. When we were kids, we could take our prams and ride into Minnie Creek.
Used to fish there.
Yeah, we used to catch what's called
I think
Minnie Creek
there's-
because we
I
used
think
to...
there's
Minnie
still a
Creek used to
stream
be where we used to
underneath.
flounder fish.
Okay. Well,
So-
they filled in the street mouth, but they put that culvert in. Like
Yeah, that was, the culvert was done in the 60s, late 60s, I think.
60s.
And that allowed for the development, and that's what we have now. But that was all woods, and our dump was back there. Yeah. We had the Margate dump back there. So the thing is, the issue we're faced with, and I'm not a professional, and I think Ed can answer this, is because it's tidal. It's not like it's a lake where they put floodgates in to control the flow with dams and all. This is a whole different ballgame, and I'm not saying you can't get permits to do it, but I think it's going to be an arduous task to accomplish.
We agreed to look at it.
Thank you.
Yes.
We will do.
Thank you. I have one question.
Your time is up.
My time was up 10 years ago.
Just one question. Has any engineer or anybody would have the ability to look at this said that you could actually stop the water with a gate? Because doesn't it come up through the ground?
Well, of course, yeah, it does come up from the ground, but the
That's a good
water,
point.
the water that entered my house, 14 inches worth, came from Minnie Creek. And when Sandy hit us, obviously it was bigger than any other storm that had come through.
Right.
The creek filled up and just kept filling, and at the end of my street is a fence, and they had, the fire department got a call that night that there was gasoline leaking from someplace. They had to come in a boat and get to the end of my street. When I looked out my window, I thought I was in the bay, because
It was the bay.
it was the bay.
The
But
old aerial photos show that big wide creek there. It was
Yeah.
pretty wide.
It is.
So it was a creek.
But again, the question is, does the water come up
Through the
or does
margin.
it come in? If it comes
both
up,
ways,
the
both
gate,
ways.
you know,
Well-
I don't think would help.
Well, I could tell you, I could tell you that if there was a floodgate on there during Sandy, I probably wouldn't have gotten as much damage as I had.
Engineers got to look at it.
Any other,
I lived through it, so.
Thank you.
any other public comment?
Citizen Verna, thank you.
Motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Is there any public comment on resolutions or adoptions of ordinances?
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Johanna?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Johanna? Carry on.
May I have a motion for the introduction of ordinance number 23-2016, amending land use?
I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for ordinance number 24-2016 for vehicle and traffic code?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 22-2016, refunding bond ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker?
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have may I have a motion to pass resolution number 189, authorizing payment to Colmar Home Center?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
I abstain.
Commissioner Amadeus?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 190, 2016, authorizing bill payment and claims?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for Resolution Number 191, 2016, authorizing award of contract for a municipal auditor?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for Resolution Number 192, 2016, requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation for a body armor grant?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Thank you all for being here.
Mayor.